Hello and welcome back to Rejuvenated Women, Impeccable Health for High-Performing Women. I'm your host, Dr. Alex Swenson Ridley, and on today's show, we are celebrating kind of a big milestone. This is episode 100, which I feel like is a big deal. So I wanted to, in thinking about preparing for this and, what did I want to do with this, I have some insight that I want to share with you, but I also just wanted to kind of share, what this thing is that you're a part of, that you show up and listen to and all of that. And I am, like so many of us, I think I'm not one to acknowledge accomplishment or achievement for whatever reason. I think as high performing women, either we just start moving on to the next thing, or we don't have self-worth of some level, and so we don't really want to acknowledge some of the cool things that we accomplish in our lives. And I'm trying to impact that conversation for myself, and I encourage any of you who you can relate to this to think about this as well. But I thought I would just share, some of the statistics and recent feedback I've gotten about this show, because when I created it, it was like I'd always had this idea that, hey, it would be cool to have a podcast, but I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know how to get started. I didn't really know any of that stuff. And so then I ended up with a business coach who taught me some of that, and I was like, okay, I'm just doing it. And so I went for it, and the show launched in February of 2020, because what else are you going to do in 2020, right? It's time to start something new, like so many of us did. But, it's really grown into something that I value, and I've recently been getting feedback from a lot of you that it's been valuable and helpful to you, and I'm so grateful for you as the listeners and as the people who've been part of this journey with me. 100 episodes is a big deal. I never thought I'd be able to come up with content for that long. And we, over the last several months, have really gotten on a roll with, we've got two episodes a week, one solo show, and then one that's an interview. I've met some incredibly awesome and interesting women who are in the health and wellness space, or the stress space, or the life space, and just had some incredibly awesome conversations. And I know many of you have appreciated those, because we've grown a lot over the last few months. Just some of the stats. Everyone talks about downloads and all this stuff in the podcast world, but we haven't quite reached 10,000 downloads, but we're really close. And that's kind of like the first, episode number is big, but the first major milestone for in the podcast world is downloads. So we're at about 8,000. I switched platforms and lost total count, but around 8,000 downloads in the last year and a half, which I think is pretty cool. It's a big deal. It's about 150 downloads a week. That means like 150 of you are listening to the show as individuals, different people, in the course of a week, which is really cool. And it's been listened to in over 11 countries, which I find just kind of awe-inspiring. And it's really incredible, just to think about how the world has changed into where we can have a platform and be able to reach so many more people. And I'm incredibly grateful for it and humbled by it, I would say, in a lot of ways. I just appreciate how many women are part of really what I'm trying to create as a movement, where we learn how to put ourselves first again and overcome this thing I always talk about called self-less syndrome. So those are just, some of the cool things that have come out of this. But what I really wanted to talk about and share is, because I see this with so many of us, we get stuck or stopped by things that are new or seem like they might be hard. And there were a lot of times in creating this, because have a doctor hat, like I've had a business and all this stuff, but kind of breaking into this digital world and digital media. And now we've got things up on YouTube, which I know that'll start to grow too. And this has been more of a long-term game. Like, podcasts are not about becoming famous overnight or any of that. And for me, it's not about the fame or the glory or any of that, but more about the opportunity to create an impact. And I know for a lot of you that listen, you also have a drive or a dream or a vision or something that you're passionate about and want to build an impact in. And it's been very true for me. And so my big thing has really been having an impact in women's leadership and helping us be the awesome, powerful, incredible leaders that we are, and create more of that equality conversation with men, because it's so there's a big discrepancy even to this day, and there's a lot of work to do. But I think a lot of it comes in really embracing our feminine side and understanding ourselves and taking a break long enough to pick our heads up and do that. And so that's a lot of what this show is geared at. But what I wanted to share with you is, this podcasting, showing up and talking every week, has really become something that I'm super passionate about, and that I discovered I have a natural affinity for, and having conversations, and the feedback I've gotten from all of you has really reiterated that for me, because a lot of times I just show up and talk, and I'm like, I hope somebody cares and listens to this. And you do, and that's awesome. And so, we've been getting more reviews, and I've gotten a lot of feedback from the women who've come on as guests, actually, who've just shared that, a lot of the stuff that we've talked about over the last 100 episodes now has really been impactful in their own lives. And like I said, I'm just honored and really humbled by that. And what I want to encourage you with is, we get so bogged down in this need for perfection, especially those of us in more of this high performing capacity. And that's not it's not a bad thing to want to do things well, but it also can really hinder us and hold us back. And if I look back at, how many times I could have let myself be stopped or stuck because I don't have a producer, or I missed an edit, or, I'm not sure what to talk about on a certain day, or I don't know how to reach out to people and ask them to be guests on the show, or any of that, we wouldn't be here today. We wouldn't be having those conversations, and I wouldn't have found another piece of what I consider to be my zone of genius, which is showing up and just making people think, right? And challenging you, and pushing you to really be better versions of ourselves. Like, I truly believe that that's my gift in the area where I thrive, and part of why I love doing this so much, and having these deep conversations, and really just like getting people to think, whether it's in an interview setting with me or while you're listening, or any of those things. So what I really wanted to share in, what I've learned from 100 episodes of this show, and watching it grow, and, I really actually don't really pay much attention to the stats, but I've been checking them out just as we've kind of built, because I know more has been happening. And what I want to encourage you in is, just be aware of what you allow to keep you stuck or stop you, especially if you're in, a place where you're not sure that you're really doing what you're meant to do, or maybe you have dreams of what you want to do beyond what you're already doing. Because I know so many of those who listen are your high performing women. You have awesome things that you're up to, and incredible journeys that you're on, and we need to share those with whether it's with each other, or just with our communities or our families or whatever. And so not letting yourself be stuck or stopped by thinking it has to look a certain way, or by, worrying that about all the things that make us feel little and insignificant and like we don't matter, or any of that stuff. It's, there's days where it's terrifying to me to show up and share some of my thoughts, because I know that the audience has grown so much. But at the same time, I know that there are conversations that need to be had. The most recent example of that was when I talked about vaccines. Well, I think it was last week from when this episode's coming out. But, I really wasn't sure how that was going to go. And I told my husband, I was like, I'm super nervous about putting this out, but I'm just going to do it. And the feedback I got from it was just overwhelmingly positive, and, great. And so I just want to let you know, there's times where I'm not sure how things are going to land, or I won't ever go crazy on you guys, but just recognizing that we have to have faith in ourselves, and in our value and input, impact, I guess we should say, but how others see and view and value what we have to share, and that we matter on some level. This isn't about tooting my own horn. This is, about you all also recognizing this inside of yourselves, what you are up to, and your thoughts and your opinions, and what you're good at, and your unique abilities that you are able to bring to the world matter. And they are, why I show up is to help you recognize that, because I think so many of us are just burdened down, or not really willing to take the risk, or have the courage to jump with both feet and just do the thing that we know that we're really meant to do. So as we celebrate 100 episodes, I challenge you and encourage you, and I would love to know, like, what is maybe that thing? I dreamed about having a podcast for years. I've also been dreaming about being on a TED Talk for years, so maybe that's going to be the next thing that I actually like take on. It's terrifying, but also would be just super awesome, I think. So for you, what's that dream? And send me an email. I'll maybe remember to put it in the show notes this time. But my name, Dr. Alex at emergentwomenih.com. And I just want to know, like, what's the dream? What's the thing that, when you do, you just feel like everything flows and it's not hard, it's easy, and it, like, time stands still, but maybe you let yourself get stuck or stopped, or you don't think that you can really make a go of whatever the thing is, or there's some sort of fear keeping you stuck. What's that thing for you? And just let me know, because I'm really curious. And then, like, let me know what you're going to do to just go ahead and do the thing. Like, stop worrying. Don't worry about having it to, look a certain way, or be a certain way, and just get out there and do it. Because I think what we'll all find is when we hold back and wait for the polish, and wait for all the stars to align, or whatever it is that we're doing, we're playing the waiting game. A lot of the world misses out on what we really have to share and offer. And that's a sad thing. So let's stop doing that, ladies, and let's get out there and be the awesome, powerful, amazing human beings that I know we all are. So with that, thank you for being part of this community and this movement that I've been creating. It's a long-term game plan here, so we're not going anywhere, but I'm just really honored and inspired and, like I said, humbled by the response that the show has gotten so far, and by the impact that I've been receiving feedback that it has made. So it's my honor to be here and serve all of you. I hope this provokes some thought and serves you as well. And I can't wait to hear what you're up to and how you're, you know, changing the world. Ultimately, that's what we're talking about here. But always here for you. Always excited. I will be back next week. We're in the hundreds. We're starting over at 1. It's so exciting. And we will see you on Thursday for another interview. And then I'll be back solo next week.